Welcome to the talk shop.
But yeah, man, how's it been?
It's been good. It's been good. We're back to normal everything except I think you guys New York is open, like properly open, right? Like theaters and like
Um,
restaurants and stuff.
I think so. Honestly, I haven't been following New York COVID news since I've been going back and forth to Texas. So, but I would imagine it's open, but not as open as Texas, obviously.
hmm
But
hmm
but yeah, I think they're opening up a lot more stuff. Things are getting back to normal. A lot of jobs are or offices are like planning to open up. You know, after Fourth of July.
hmm
At least 2 days a week, because that's what we're doing.
hmm
Um, and yeah, so everything's opening up again until the cases of COVID start again. But again, I always knew it was always going to get to the point where COVID was one of the flus. Do you know what I mean?
hmm Yeah.
And you just get your shots. You can still get COVID even if you got your shots, but at least it won't be as much panic. The only difference now is a lot of people will remain wearing their masks and all that kind of stuff going forward. So it won't be as terrible, at least to some extent. But generally, I figured it was going to turn into just the flu, one of the flus. As long as you
Yeah.
have your vaccination. Have you taken yours, by the way? It was supposed to be
I
late
I
May, right?
I got my first shot. Yeah, last Tuesday I finally got that. And they're
Okay.
speeding up second shots. Like I don't know when I'm gonna get mine. Right now they have it set for like August, but
Mm.
they said that they're gonna speed it up, and inform us and let us know. So yeah, man, might be able to go to the Caribbean this summer. Like
Um. Honestly, well, anyways, I don't know how Canada is moving with travel, Sha, but now we didn't really let COVID restrict us from traveling. Again, we went to Mexico, so I mean, honestly, to be honest with you, all this travel back and forth that we did and no COVID cases is just a miracle. I'll be honest with you.
yeah,
So, but yeah, we didn't really let as long as we could travel, we didn't let it stop us from doing anything. So it was good. So you should
yeah.
go have fun.
It's really like Amara's job is the issue in
Yeah.
that you know they she could travels like as a pharmacist in the hospital. She travels, and then like they expect her to quarantine for a certain amount of time because she's literally traveled and she's gonna come in contact with
Yeah.
what you call it patients.
Patience. Yeah.
And if she takes like 3 days off, she can't quarantine for 2 weeks. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's so that's pretty much why we haven't done anything. But we do intend to go to Alberta, go to the Rockies. Whatever we can do in Canada, like
Hmm.
we feel a bit more comfortable now. That she's got both her shots, by the way.
Okay.
So
So
and
she
I'm
can't.
like, whatever, man. I'm reckless.
None of her work can be remote, right? Everything has to be at the hospital.
Um, I think it can be. So the period where we had to isolate for our own reasons, they managed to get her a remote setup.
Mm.
But the way her team is, it's not really. It kind of drags everyone else down because she does has to do like stuff after they do it, and then they have to keep her posted. And
Hmm.
so I don't think they ever want to do it again. But like they did it for that circumstance.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. Every employer will begin to explore ways to make things easier for their employees.
Mhm.
So I'm sure we'll
For
figure it
me,
out.
I never think I'm going back to the like. I don't think like it will ever be dictated to me that I have to go back to the office.
Yeah.
Like
I
I,
mean, you
I
were
think
you
I've
were
done.
you were rarely in the office, anyways. You particularly.
Yeah,
So
I'm I'm
it's
I'm a
not
work
like.
from home guy. That's always been my thing.
Hmm.
But I think they might even just decide sell the thing. Like I just don't see it. I
Sell
just
the
don't see it.
office.
Yeah, like I
Probably
feel like they
losing a lot
could.
of money. Probably losing a lot of money. Still
Yeah.
renting out, or if they own the buildings, I don't know. But like a lot of these places are probably struggling with with their offices, not being occupied.
Hmm.
if they own the buildings and stuff. So I know commercial real estate suffered the most from
I
this.
so we own our building,
Mm.
and because like people weren't coming to the office, they were like, well, they have this empty space that's unused. They were starting to rent portions of it out to like, I think even Allstate Insurance or whatever, like, these other
Hmm.
companies. And now it's like, is that revenue coming in? Probably not. So it's
Hmm.
it's, it's a mess. And I was reading, LinkedIn has basically become Facebook, which is hilarious. But I was reading something on Facebook about this is in regards to COVID and like work from home, where people are apparently very willing and are quitting jobs that force them to come back to the office, where they're like, listen, this work from home thing should be my new standard. If you don't give
Yep.
it to me, I'm not coming back. I'm quitting. And a lot of people apparently in the States particularly are like just quitting their jobs in droves, like
Peace
mad.
out. Yep. Yep. That's why most employers have to be cautious with what they're mandating, and even in fact, New York State, at least I know, is telling people they cannot mandate. I mean, they can tell people they want them to come back. Well, you can't mandate, and if the person can prove there's a reason for it, now a reason for them not taking the vaccination. That's what I mean. They can't mandate you take the vaccination, and they
Hmm.
can't mandate you come into the office. But the reasons are like medical or religious, and then religious you have to prove it.
Hmm.
But then so it's interesting.
So like
Interesting dilemma.
relig like whole, so I'm thinking about it like religious for like not taking the vaccine. Like I don't even. How do you prove that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Whatever argument anti-vaxxers use with regard to religion, I'm sure they'll use the same thing because there's a lot of Orthodox Jewish people that probably don't take vaccinations anyways, right?
Hmm.
Um, stuff like that. So but I don't know. I'm speaking just thinking
Right, right.
who are the most traditional people that stick to their stuff. Probably Orthodox Jewish people, maybe some Muslim people stick to all those kind of things. And
You think
then,
the you think the Amish take vaccines?
good question. Probably not. But
Look, I'm
then,
always curious about those guys.
how many Amish people do you have in your office building? None. They,
Zero.
they don't work
Absolutely.
with you, so you don't have employees don't have to worry about that. But they're definitely like in New York, for instance, there's a lot of companies that are owned and run by Jewish people, like
Hmm.
Orthodox Jewish people. So those are the kind of ones that it's like, okay, can you force somebody to take vaccination stuff like that? You can't. So hey.
I, I I just Googled right now, and apparently COVID-19 has hit the Amish community hard, but they're not taking vaccines. I fully expected that they wouldn't even get COVID because like they're already isolated.
It's also
But
yeah.
like
No,
that
but
is
I guess
interesting.
they still have interactions. At least the Amish now, depending on where you go, are more social than 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. So I would imagine people coming in to buy like their pies, their apple cider, all that kind of stuff that they make, probably come into contact with people that have COVID, and they probably get it that way.
Hmm.
Unfortunately. So,
Ah, that's interesting.
do you guys have Amish in Canada?
I want to say I've seen them, but I think like in Alberta, um,
Oh, okay.
I always say Alberta has everything like that. That I want to say is odd or like against the norm rather, not
Different.
odd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm
Yeah.
pretty. I know we have them. I know we have them.
Interesting. Do you guys have Indian reserves in Canada too, right? Similar to
Oh,
America?
fam, that's a very big problem out here, man. Like,
Yeah.
so, like there's Indian reserves. Is they treat? I would say that Canada has done a better job in terms of the way they treat Indians.
Hmm.
For example, they go to university free. I don't know if that's a thing in the States. They got vaccinated for anybody.
Hmm.
Like they give them a lot of benefits, but however, it's because they're trying to make it somehow proportional to how they treated them,
Yeah.
which is, Canada didn't have as much time for black racism because they were just being racist to the indigenous, like continuously. Like just right, the big story over here recently was that I think it was last week. They have these things called residential schools, which was run by the Catholic Church, and those
Mhm.
schools for the natives, but they
Mhm.
mistreated them all over the place, like for a century or however long they had those schools. And just last week, they found like mass graves under one of like literally like on the land of one of the schools that was like residential schools that was closed down like 20 years ago or something. There's 214 dead bodies they found.
Wow.
Yeah, like Trudeau had to comment. Like this is stuff that the just community has been saying. They were abusing these schools. That all sorts of things were going on, and there have been lots of cases of missing people, especially girls,
Hmm.
and no one's been able to identify like where these people went. And now this is like 214, like you know, indigenous dead bodies found in this place. The way Canada treat these people is actually kind of mad.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Didn't
Yeah,
realize that at all. That's crazy. I always wondered, with all these murder mysteries and disappearances, like how do you not? I mean, I don't know. If it's that many, that frequent. I mean, again, 214 in the last what 50 years. It's not as frequent as I'm making it seem, but still, um, how do you, in that period of time, not solve the mystery in
you
my
know,
my mind? You know what I'm saying?
it depends if they were looking, right?
If they cared, yeah, I guess.
And I think that that's the problem that people have is that these people were probably just did not care because it's 215 children, right, that are found buried. Were they
Mm,
buried like over the years? Was it 215 kids that went like buried, and died like in one shot? I assume it was, over time
over
is what
time, yeah,
is what I'm assuming. But these are what we call them First Nations, right?
yeah,
These are the people, and there's been racism, systemic racism against them. I doubt the system really cared that one went away every couple of months or something. Like, I don't think they cared.
yeah, yeah. That's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
glad you guys have gotten your vaccine situation sorted out. Kinda, Canada. Welcome to the rest of the world
yeah,
with vaccines. But yeah. Speaking about what was I gonna bring? Speaking about we were talking before about that whole. Let's just start with this Memorial Day and what was going on. Did you find out the hashtag? Did you look it up?
like aquaholics or something.
Aquaholics. Yes.
I see. What I looked it up, right,
Hmm.
and what I saw was just like a bunch of black people at pool parties,
Hmm.
like with Nerf guns and women twerking, and I was like,
Hmm.
oh, okay.
Hmm.
Is this what we're talking about?
Like it's to me. First of all, I don't. It was just going all over Twitter, so I was like, "What the hell is this?" And then first of all, it's people in Dallas and people in Texas in general are just not quarantining or just not observing COVID laws. Nothing, no mask in sights. You know, packed. No. I mean, they're outdoors, so I guess that counts for it's fine. But yeah, it just looks too packed out there. And then, obviously, like you said, you just see the different shenanigans, people standing on roofs, people falling down from roofs, people twerking in front of everyone, taking off all their clothes, crazy shenanigans. I'm like, is this what people are really getting up to in a panoramic? Like, for real? We've gone back to this kind of thing. It's
Yo,
to me it's crazy.
after a year of being like locked down, unable to twerk, just like
Fair enough.
randomly, like people gotta twerk, man. Like they gotta get it out there. But it's just interesting to me that like I mean, I guess they're vaccinated, so whatever, go off.
How do you
But
know?
I don't, and that's the funny thing about this whole thing now is that like now that vaccines are out there, people are moving mad, where they're like, oh, the stores are no longer mandating masks if you're vaccinated. How the hell do you know that person's vaccinated? Like, you know, no one
Exactly.
knows
And
anything.
the thing is, they've not enforced anything or come up with any system to figure out who has or who hasn't. Obviously, they're trying to avoid forcing people to like go around with the vax cards or like have to prove themselves everywhere they go.
Mm.
But they have to figure out some way to do it though. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? How can they do that? Because they have to figure out some kind of way to do it.
I think I think America is way too politically charged to ever have that type of system, and I'm not sure that if I was a leader, I would even try it. Like I think it's just too like it's too dangerous a political situation to do that. I think like in Canada where you would get a little bit of dissent, most people would be like, okay, fine, like okay, we're polite people, whatever. Well, if this is what it takes for me to go and like watch the Raptors or something like that, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, sure, I'll just put it on my phone and show it to you, and we keep it moving. Like, I feel like we do that, but in Texas, nah, impossible.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a sad situation, but like, because they were one day talking about doing these like vaccination passports and like, when you're traveling, you have to show some kind of proof that you've been vaccinated. Like, there has to be some kind of way to police it, or you just say fuck it and assume that at this point herd immunity is gonna take effect, and you don't really police it. But that's dangerous if you're not mandating masks, though. You know what I'm saying?
I think like if I think some airlines can do it. That's their thing, right? Like they can be like, show me your vaccine card, or like don't or like before you buy the ticket, like show something. You know how they scan your passport, right? Like like if people really keep it like a buck, a passport is identification,
Yeah.
right? If you don't have a passport, you're not getting anywhere. So
Hmm.
like, sh- I, I don't. I'm not sure. I really see the difference, or like a visa, going anywhere. To me, there's no difference. I think they can mandate that on airlines, but this got me thinking when I looked at the alcoholics thing, right? And you see these girls twerking up and down and everything. Like, do you feel too old? Like, do you
Oh
feel
yeah.
like
I feel like
like
I
you
can't go
wouldn't be at that party
I
anymore?
can't go anywhere near anything like that because one, I'll get tired. There's no one sitting down, so where am I supposed to sit down? Secondly, it's just too rowdy. I can't be in crowds like that anymore. Like honestly, I can't party like that anymore. My sense of having fun now is more of a lounge, sit down, shisha, vibe, nice music. That's it. I'm not really going out to like rowdy clubs anymore. I'm not going anywhere where I will sweat. Essentially, I'm not trying to sweat in the club.
The only time that we can entertain that type of thing is like if it's a wedding or something. Like, all right,
Fair enough.
like
Exactly.
you know,
Yes, but I'm not going out to party and I'm drenching myself with sweat. No, can't do that anymore. I need it to be a nice vibe, chill, sit down. Like I have my own section, a nice couch with my friends there. No one's like rampacked in front of each other. You know, have our drinks. Have our hookah if we're smoking that, and just chill. I'm not doing anything more than that. So no, I can't. I can't hang at things like that anymore. I
same
can't.
man. Like even just looking at it like feels stressful to me. It's like
Exactly.
because like there's some guys that be like, oh yo, they shaking their ass. Up. I'm like, fam, like I'm not even like trying to be that lame dad or something. Like
Hmm.
this doesn't affect me at all.
Whatsoever. Nope.
like
It's not appealing to me. It doesn't. I don't feel like I'm missing out. Nothing. No. I'm tired. I'm too tired for that. I'm too impatient for that. So no,
yeah, I'm
can't do it.
good.
We've gotten
I'm
to that point at this point where I can't do it anymore. It's
because
just it's just not physically. It's not appealing
yeah,
physically.
I agree with you. I like lounges, restaurants, like
Yep.
in the summertime I like barbecue, like barbecues and stuff like that. Like
Yep.
that's perfectly fine. We'll have a good ass. I think like 2 years ago we had like 50 people out here. I
Hmm.
didn't even know how many people showed up. We just barbecued and sure there was a bit of dancing. We played games, but I was like, this is my type of vibe. Like
Yep.
I can do this all sitting down.
Exactly.
It's great.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's my vibe now. I don't do anything more than that. It's too stressful. Too stressful.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I hear
Um,
you.
but speaking about stress, man, we gotta talk about this again. What's going on in Nigeria with the whole? Wait, was it Biafra Memorial something or something like that? Was there some kind of event, and then we're hearing about like all the insecurity in Nigeria, the stay-at-home orders in parts of the east. Just the general rising of like insecurity in Nigeria. It to me is very, very, very like worrying, and I'm seeing like reports where essentially Nigeria is at this point almost a failed state, and like there's too much, there's too much insecurity, too much havoc, too many things going on. I'm like, how can this be happening? One, two. I mean, I'm seeing people that I know, and it doesn't look like anything crazy is going on. But then I know in the wider scope of things, there is a lot of crazy shit going on. Even in the same like Lagos and Abuja we're talking about, there is kidnappings, there is robberies going on more and more broad daylight. There's killings, even on the island or on mainland in Lagos, in Abuja, things like that. So like it's crazy. I don't know. It's very, very, very sad.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it seems like we've reached like a very very tough spot. I mean, every day is a tough spot, but um, it's very very strange. I mean, so I think May 30th itself was the Biafra Remembrance Day, and I find that I think that that's something that the internet has really propagated because Nigeria is not exactly the place where they've done a good job of commemorating what happened during the Biafra War.
Yeah.
You're not really taught that in school. Like I don't remember anything about that in the 3.5 years I was at Loyola at all. Like
Nope.
I don't even think it was even mentioned
Social
ever.
studies, I don't remember that. I don't remember it in geography. I don't remember it in economics. I don't remember it being mentioned. I don't even know how we would have known about it apart from maybe home. It being mentioned by our family. Us just knowing that our parents went through a civil war. Somehow we just knew that a lot of them were either born or young kids during that time. You
Hmm.
know. Other than that, I don't think you're right. It wasn't taught in school. I don't think, apart from mentioning the years, maybe and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah, like there was like we all know there was a war, and but that's all you know, right? That there was a war, and you know Aguirre and all that stuff. But like the details of the blockade and starvation and all these types of things that happened.
the
Um,
massacre in Asaba, the massacre in Onitsha,
exactly. You don't hear
stuff
those
like that.
things.
Yeah,
You just don't hear about those things, and I think that's part of the problem. Now, the insecurity that we're referring to is, government forces mowing down people and police mowing down people in the east under the pretense of those people being IPOB, which is effectively Biafran separatists. And there was I think there was a clip or a story about them going to a church and pulling people out that they were IPOB people, and it's like, how do you know that?
on a Sunday, you go into an active service and claim that everybody in there is IPOP. Like, did they arrest them or they just sent them out of the church?
I think they sent them out to church and interrogated them outside, and I'm sure they arrested some of them. Um, but it's just like I think one of the things that Nigeria has just not got a grasp of from a security perspective is also PR. Like, public perception is very important in security. Like, you already have a country that's fracturing at the seams at the Christian Muslim thing, North South stuff, the Fulani herders stuff that's been going around. And you have a Fulani president and the government forces are attacking Igbos. How do you think that looks? Like, whether or not it's right or wrong, I don't know, but like, just think about the perception of that. You already have a
Absolutely.
country where all the major positions are taken up by people in the north, and you think you're gonna come in there and just wipe people out, and like you're gonna beg, the Fulani herders to like be nice, like it's
Like
an imbalance
I
there.
saw a meme because Buhari spoke, I think this evening or whatever, I didn't even bother reading what he said because it was a lot of, to me, just the few lines I saw sounded very dictator like type rhetoric and stuff, you know. But like I saw a meme saying like Boko Haram, you rehabilitated them. One other terrorist group, you brought them back into the fold. But IPOB Biafra punished them, killed them, you know, clamp down on them. You know, that's the message coming out of, I was about to say the White House. That's the message coming out of Aso Rock.
Hmm.
So like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. Clearly there is favoritism, there is a lack of care for a certain group of Nigerians. It's blatant, it's obvious, and it's very sad and, you know, very worrying. Because my parents were supposed to go to Onitsha for something, I think, in the last week, and my dad was like, "Oh, there's a stay-at-home order. We're not going anywhere because I don't want us to get to Onitsha and be stuck." And lo and behold, I think you saw the video I shared in the group chat.
Hmm.
Um, Head Bridge, the Niger Bridge was closed. You know, people could get in and out of Onitsha.
Hmm.
You know, so that's how my parents would have been there, stuck in Onitsha. You know, only God knows what kind of chaos would kind of ensue in inside the city because, you know, unfortunately Onitsha is a very crazy city, and, you know, shit goes down. You know, I can only imagine, you know, people feeling like they could do whatever they want to do because, you know, no one's going in and out. You know how bad that could have been. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's scary, man. Scary times.
it's very scary. It is, and it's only gotten worse and worse and worse and worse. And I think a lot of people are done with the current leadership as a result. I think they've been done, right? Like, you don't have to talk about Lecky again. Like, people have been done with that. But it's just, I don't know how you rectify this now. Like you said, people are now having open conversations about, it breaking apart at the seams, but also at minimum, there's now at least a restructuring conversation. It
Yeah,
won't happen, but like there are these forums around the country where apparently it's formally discussed about restructuring to give the zones and the states more autonomy financially and stuff like that. But do I think this will actually result in something? No. Like it won't at all. But yeah, I mean, I've always said this is just me personally, and this is not a hot take or like, my opinion is my own, not of the talk shop or whatever that disclaimer I have to give in here is. But I've always felt that Nigeria is and should be at minimum three different countries. Like
yeah,
I don't know if that's controversial. I'm not a one Nigeria advocate personally. Like,
mhm,
it is what it is. And do I believe that Biafra should secede? No, because I think it won't. Mostly because I don't think the fight is worth it because you will die.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's no viable way to do that.
No,
So you have to try and make this work. But what is my ideal situation? Yeah, breaking apart.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think you're right. There's no viable way to solve this issue without some kind of bloodshed, and nobody wants a civil war. I mean, as bad as we are, I'm not trying to descend into Israel and Palestine at this point.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to, you know, become a war zone, a Libya or whatever. I mean, I have too much family there, and the country is still a country that I personally feel I count as home, and I love going there. I'm
Hmm.
not trying to get to that point where I'm worried about what's going on there, you know. So no, you shouldn't get to that. But you're right. But the problem is we can never get there because there will be a resources struggle. There will be a border struggle. You know, even just to, you know, to have that discussion because, you know, right now a lot of the resources are controlled by places that do not actually inhabit the resources,
Hmm.
you know, and that in itself will be a fight. Is like, okay, we've held on to these for years. All of a sudden we are going to change everything up and lose all that. You know, how do we solve that? How are we going to get a share of that? You know, what kind of rights do we feel we have to all those resources? And that's where another war will start. It's not. It's crazy. There's no. We've passed that point of civil wars and infighting. I think. I hope that that's we as a civilization, as human beings, the world in general has passed that. Even though places like Israel and Palestine still have issues of that kind, even though Sudan and some other places have tribal intertribal issues or have had, I don't feel like we should descend into that kind of thing anymore. But how do you solve it? And it should be solved. It shouldn't just be let go. We shouldn't keep having these little pockets of issues every 10 years or whatever. You know, it should there should be some kind of resolution. But I don't even know how that could come about. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, it requires people who give a shit. I
Yeah.
think, and I'm not convinced that these people do. And by the way, I'm if I speak about the East specifically, I'm not even sure the East leaders give a shit.
No, that's what I would say. I don't think anyone gives a shit, and I don't even think that if we somehow automatically someone just says snap a finger, everything is split. Everything as it is, as the resources are, as how the geography looks, you're split into the three different parts. I'm not even sure we would thrive how we would want to because there's some gritty idiots in our midst that will mess it up.
Very
So
much so. Very, very much so.
so the alternatives are very slim, and it's just very discouraging that that's the fact, but it is a fact. So,
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely correct.
but yeah, we just wanted to raise that because again, like I said, at least I do have immediate family there. My parents and my two of my siblings are still in Nigeria. I know, Bernie, you have cousins and stuff that are still there. I know your dad is back, but he goes back frequently. And you have interests
Hmm.
in Nigeria, so like anything of this kind, affects us even if we're not there. So it's very, very scary for me, anyways,
Yeah,
thinking about those things. So
it is very scary, and it's something that you want to see progress because you want to be able to proudly claim that you're Nigerian, except for on the football side of things, which is the only thing that everyone positively talks about, even
mhm.
though we're trash.
And music
Um, yeah, and music, thank God for that at
and
least.
movies,
Yeah, those things are going well,
entertainment. Yeah.
but it's like I was telling someone recently, uh, how do I want to raise my kids? And I said always, I want them to be close to the culture, even if they're far, right? And I want them to tell me, hey, we haven't been to Nigeria in a while. I want to go. Like, like I want that type of connection. I want PJ to say when they ask him, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Nigeria, but I live here. I mean, he'll say whatever he feels like saying, but that is what I would love for him to feel such a connection that he goes, I'm Nigerian Canadian, or I don't ever want him to say I'm from Ajax.
Yeah.
That would piss me off. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think once Kaima is able to understand, she must know exactly what village I'm from, which in turn means what village she's from. She must know her mother's village. She must understand as much Igbo as possible, where she's not confused when she hears conversation.
mhm,
At the very least that I already know personally I'm not doing the best I can with regard to like attending Onisha meetings and like being participative in stuff like that. I already know I'm failing in that respect to some extent. So, you know, I
but
don't
that
want
stuff is hard to keep up with, though. You
very
know,
hard. Just from the dues alone. The dues
yeah,
the dues alone,
I
the
love the
monthly
dues.
dues from is too much. And then I mean, there's not part that's good because anytime anybody dies or whatever, you have to contribute a certain amount. And honestly, in the last few years, it seems like somebody's always, so it's a financial burden and a time burden. And when you go, it's certain people that are you know, monopolizing the conversations. Obviously, there's a young people's group, which is starting to do its own thing. But a lot of us were not raised that deeply in their practices, and a lot of us just use it as a chance to hang out and
Hmm.
just talk, and nothing really rooted in our culture, unfortunately. Um, so it's something I know I've slacked on, but it's again,
Yeah, but it's understandable though, because I have a similar thing, and my dad wants to bring me in on any group chat that he has
yeah,
involving our village and like projects that are being done and stuff like that. And one of them I thought, okay, it's just going to be a community of people getting together, and they're talking about the village by elections because, like, there's a like what you're in is like a association,
yep,
you know, well, village improvement association, whatever, something like
yeah,
that, right? And
yep,
like there's elections, there's bylaws, there's this and there's
yep.
that, and there's how do we handle flanny herders and stuff, and how do we handle this? I'm like, fam, like, you
It's
people
very
think
active,
that like
very busy.
I can like pay attention to all these different streams. Like,
Yep.
all I want to do is let me know when you
Hmm.
need a project done or like you need help with something and I can do that. But like, don't
Hmm.
expect me to like, sometimes I get like, oh, this group, like, my dad would be like, oh, you haven't contributed in a while. I'm like, to what? Like, I actually don't know. Like, there's just so much. Like, and you mentioned the dues. Wow. Like,
It's
I'm,
expensive.
all I said was, just tell me what I owe. Like, but all these monthly things, and they'll start calling like financial reports,
Yep.
and this, I'm like, I don't care. Just tell
Yep.
me how much I owe, and I'll pay it. Like, it's just, I don't know. We do things. It's funny how we come out here,
Mhm.
and when we're dealing with, people here, we do things properly. But then when we're with around our own people abroad, even, we resort back to the nonsense that we do back
Yep.
home. Like, it's
Yep.
really ridiculous.
Yep. It's crazy. But hey, it's like how we can meet up with a bunch of our friends and automatically accent switch,
Hmm.
slang switches. Same thing. You can't change it. You're around your people. You revert to type. It's not easy to act like you will with everyone else, and I understand it to
That's
to
facts.
to a
That's
degree.
true.
It's hard. It's hard to be in front of everyone and not break out in broken English. It's hard to not use certain slang. It's hard to not behave a certain way. But then once a white colleague comes up to you, switches right back. So
Uh, I'll give you an example of something that bugged me. I think like 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, there was a event that we had, and it's supposed to be like this diaspora events for my village, and you sell tickets effectively, right? Like, people, they come in. This time it was hosted in Toronto. So people flew in from the States, Canada, everywhere, and it's a gala, and you sell tickets and whatever.
yep.
And I came up with the idea of, guys, let's use like Eventbrite, because everyone will get their own allocation of tickets. You
Hmm.
have to sell your tickets, and then you bring the money to the treasurer or whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, because what people will end up doing is they would give someone a ticket, and then on an IOU or whatever, like, and they would also scrambling to get the money, and then the tickets and the cash don't align. I was like, guys, why don't you just send someone a link? You write that person a link, and they will pay with their credit card, and then they will get the tickets. They looked at me like, nah, I want to do it this way.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work because they do want to give those things out on credit, and they do want to have. They're addicted to that hustle and chasing somebody for IOUs.
Yep.
And it's incredible. But I mean, these are the things that we observe that annoy us, that make us disinterested in doing those things, and that will eventually lead to these things being eroded. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
to me, I think it's a sad thing that these things are gonna get lost. Eventually. You know, pretty much probably from our generation. I don't know how we can maintain that, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of the things that they really do traditionally, none of us were really brought into. None of us really did. You know what I mean? And it's hard
Yeah.
to really to fake that. It's hard to connect with it if you didn't live it. So I feel bad when I think about it. I'm like, wow, this the way I'm behaving right now. This is gonna get lost with me.
Hmm.
I've never attended all these things. I never. Now I know how to do some of the things, but on a actual scale, I don't really know how to do them. So everything regarding our ancestry, our ways of doing things, probably be lost. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but it's the truth.
You're gonna have to like lean on your cousins back home,
Yeah.
who are more likely to stay and
See,
all
but
that.
the thing is, think about our generation.
Mhm.
Those guys also know what it is like, but they're more like us than they are like our parents
Yeah,
in
that's
terms
true.
of they too don't really give a shit, you know, that kind of thing. I'm just thinking about like people like back home, and it's not like they are village people. They live in cities, they go to
Hmm.
work, they drive, they go to cinemas. They're not really concerned with those things. They're more around it, so they attend local meetings, they understand the language. They've probably done a lot of the rituals, but like it's not something they're living and breathing like our parents.
What's gonna happen is like the village becomes um like my village essentially now has become a place where people just build, you know,
Build what?
quote unquote country homes.
Country homes, yeah.
Like when I heard that thing,
Fam is the common phrase.
because like we used to call it just villa now. Like you say,
Yeah,
I'm going.
village,
I'm
yeah.
like you didn't even say village house, just like I'm going to villa.
Yeah.
But then I started seeing like on Instagram, oh my country home.
Come to chief, sometimes country home.
I was like, what is going on here? But like, cause when we did the traditional wedding,
Hmm.
and we brought Amar to our village, like she was like, wait, so your village is a suburb? I'm like, well, not really, because like it's a village, but all the people have built houses, right? So it's just rows and rows of, because her village is a village, like I mean like a village, but ours is like, you know, just nice house. Like when you enter my village, it's just nice houses on each side.
That's
But
that's that's exactly how it is. Like Amaka's Arundizog is a village, but then also they're building nice houses there and everything.
mhm.
But compared to Onisha is pretty much Lagos,
So
just in the east.
you're not from a village, guy.
I'm not
You're from a
my
city,
my
not even
my
a town. You're from
my
a
my.
city.
You didn't come to the east, right? You didn't, right?
I was only
Okay,
in lag for your stuff.
okay. My village is pretty much my streets, essentially. Onitsha. All the Ibunas live there on that street, so it's not like we have a village. There's
Mm.
no. So it's really city ingrained. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's difficult, man. It's
We
very
got like
difficult.
1.5 million people in Onisha. Onisha is a city,
Farm
yo. Like,
is a mad place. It's a mad place. I'm never going front. But it's home. I
yeah.
honestly, I just keep remembering going back home and like going there. Last time I went there was for our wedding. I think. Yes, our wedding. I remember my dad and my siblings were at my grandpa's house. Like I said, well, our village is the street, but then also others. If you keep walking down my mother's village, is also her street. So, and they live kind of down the one straight road from our
Mhm,
house. It's probably like a 20-minute walk, like a 5-minute drive, right?
mhm,
But it was at night. I think I had just I had my Apple Watch on, I had my cell phone, whatever. But as you were walking, generally, most people there know who you are, know your family. But it's at
mhm,
night too, so there's not lights everywhere.
mhm,
So it's like, you know what? Take off your Apple Watch, put your phone in your pocket, take off your shirt, wear only the black shirt underneath, and it was just me and my mom walking. I mean, we knew where we're going. She was speaking Igbo to me. I was replying in Igbo so that it wasn't as if we were out of place. I tried
mhm.
not to wear anything that was like special, but man, it was daunting. But at the same time, I felt comfortable. It was nice out. It was just dark, chill breeze blowing everywhere. You know what I'm saying? People in
Mhm.
their homes, like in front of their houses, eating. You know, but it's a different like beast altogether. And
Man,
then
that's why I envy you with like the Igbo a little bit because that never caught on with me. Like,
really.
and nah,
So
fam,
how much do you understand?
not very much anymore.
Really?
Not very
No.
much
So
anymore.
like, if your parents are in the living room having a conversation in Igbo, you understand what they're saying?
I'll catch a third of it.
A third.
Amara's
Okay.
better, like she'll catch like a good chunk of it.
Hmm.
Um, but nah. And the thing is, like when we were in Nigeria, I could understand everything. Like
Hmm.
I got into mad trouble. Like
Yeah.
I'll never forget my grandfather's funeral in like '03. I think it was no, this was like 2002 or something. It was his funeral, and one of the old ladies was talking to me, but she was asking me where's my grandmother, and I'm like, yo, like I knew what she was talking about. She was like talking to me, whatever, but I didn't know how to say she's over in this room.
In the room. Yeah.
You know, like for us, you say it like, yeah, bah. Like I didn't know how to say like she's like in that room. I know how she's
Mhm.
over there, but not in that room. So I
Yeah.
was like pointing and being like, like she's over there, and she went to wherever it was. She saw my hand going to, but she didn't see my grandma,
Mhm.
and she just came storming out, just yelling at me. And I knew this one was yelling at me. There were some things that I didn't catch where she was yelling at me, and I was like, I can't even say anything. Like this one,
Yeah.
and like my cousins came and saw what was going on, and then they like talked to her, and then she just started laughing
Hmm.
because she was laughing because she realized she's yelling at someone that didn't know like how
Yeah.
to respond back, so it all of a
Yeah.
sudden became funny to her.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was funny because I've had lots of those things where like when I was younger, I could understand what was being said, but like for
Hmm.
me to respond was never a thing. It's just never been a thing. And now
Yeah.
after like living out here by myself for God knows how long, like 10 years being out here by myself, like not talking to a single person who is Igbo for like
Yeah.
10 years,
Yeah.
it's gone, bro.
But your parents don't speak it to you, right? That's primarily what it is, right?
Nah, they did. The reason they didn't, and it's funny how like this always happens. Any Igbo child that can't speak Igbo, your parents will blame you for it.
Hmm.
But the first thing is, did they teach you? That's the first question.
No.
But in my parents' case, I don't blame them that much because when my brother was young and in Malaysia, he had a speech problem.
Hmm.
And a speech problem, the speech therapist believed that he was confused because he was hearing Igbo at home, English at home, English in school. We're living in Malaysia, so Bahasa on the street.
Yeah.
There's a Dutch stream in the school, so a little bit of Dutch, and because we had just come from Holland too.
Hmm.
So in what her theory was, there's just so many different languages being spoken around him that he stopped talking. That was the thing.
Hmm.
So for like a year, he didn't really say much. So they were like, just keep it simple. So my parents kept it simple for like years after that,
Yeah.
and it just became what it was.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, for me, we just my mom goes back and forth. My dad goes back and forth. You know what I'm saying? They go
Hmm.
back and forth. My aunties, uncles, back and forth. My uncles sometimes strictly Igbo. He speaks to me like my
Hmm.
Uncle Chuma. So it just worked out that I can understand pretty much anything anyone's saying. If I was forced to say something, I can fake it in terms of I know what the word is, so I can try to say it with the same phonetics and the same dialects or whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, but if you have a trained ear, you know that I'm messing up.
Hmm.
But at least I can communicate with you because I remember distinctly one flight I was coming back to America and there's an Igbo woman on the flight and no one else could speak to her. I had to be like a translator for
Hmm.
her.
Hmm.
So that was my real test.
Man,
but
that's lucky. She would have been on her own
but
with me.
but yeah. So like it's just it's sometimes I think about it and it's like sad that these kind of things are like disappearing. But it's honestly the same thing globally for a lot of cultures. It's not
It's
just us.
you know what? It's honestly one of my biggest regrets in life. Like period. Like it's not even exaggeration. It's a big regret. And every time I tell myself, I'm gonna get a tutor. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, and I don't. I'm serious. I want a tutor. Like if anyone listens to this and they're a tutor, let's go. And I feel like it's another missed opportunity that we have because I am very sure there are lots of like Igbo kids out here, like in the diaspora that like need a tutor.
Yeah,
So people need to figure it out. And I know like there's Lotana made sexy Igbo.
yeah,
I looked at it, but that thing looks expensive to me. Um it's- but something's got to give somewhere, right? Like
yeah,
um, I gotta figure it out somehow because I have to go back to Nigeria this December for
yeah.
my dad's traditional retirement from the age grade system,
Hmm.
and I'm the chief host. So as the chief host, because like as his son, right? Like I have to host it for him.
Yeah,
Either I'm going to do like a Abramovich and just wave at people,
yeah,
you know, or and I have some guy speak for me as the MC, or I perform. Probably I'm not gonna perform, but
yeah.
like
You
at
probably
least I
just
want to be able to
let
like,
the MC,
you
but
know,
you won't be able to greet them at least.
I want to be able to like greet people, like say a few words in appreciation,
Hmm.
that type of thing. You know, that would be nice. So I'll give it my best shot and
Good
see
luck.
what happens.
Yeah, man. But it's good to do, man. I'm sure. I mean, life will go on. Obviously, we'll make our own transitions, but something that I think it's kind of sad that is going to disappear. But hey, what can you do? That's how people evolve, I guess. Human beings evolve.
Yep.
But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about kind of was the Naomi Osaka, Roland Garros incident. Didn't really read her statement, but I know essentially, like every other athlete, sometimes they refuse to talk to the press. The competition or the hosts or Roland Garros, the ATP, were not happy. Fined her $15,000 for not coming to a press conference or whatever, and she subsequently checked out or resigned from the competition for this year. Um, I mean, so do you know the whole mental health, the whole you know, taking care of your mental health type discussion. We kind of have to have because I think she's within her rights to do what she did. I believe, I guess, not you can't say everyone can't do a Marshawn Lynch and just sit down there and say, I'm just here because I don't want to get fined or whatever it was he was saying. Not everyone has the patience and the mental strength to do that in the first place.
Hmm.
So expecting her to do the same thing is unfair. Um, so what she did was the next best thing, and I mean fully behind her because you shouldn't you know have to take any of that crap. And it's good that the world number one, she is right, world number one,
I believe she
took
is.
took that stand, and it'll affect Roland Garros because this year it won't be as, I guess, appealing as it would have been if she was around.
I think it was a missed opportunity for Roland Garros
Mm,
because really what she was saying is the questions y'all ask me are dumb, and the questions you ask us put stress on us
mm,
and pressure us into situations that we don't really want to be in. So you can have a conversation around improving the environment and the atmosphere and the questions for the
mhm,
athletes to make them feel comfortable. Like there- that's the question, that's the statement, the conversation needs to be had. But they started to do this whole we're gonna fine you, and then they ganged up on her, like US Open and all of them ganged up on her, and they were like, well, we checked we tried to check on her so trying to gaslight people, and then they're like, there could be bigger not suspensions, but they alluded to the idea of suspending her if she continued. And I love that she took herself out. And I love it because the people who are detractors, like the Pierce Morgans of this world,
what an idiot!
who acted like a complete clown.
What a dickhead!
If she had stayed in the tournament and like complained and talked about this, they would have been like, she's taking away from the other athletes, she's distracting from everything,
They're self-centered.
she's being exactly self-centered. But the fact that she took herself out of it, it takes all that out. And they, by the way, they're still finding a way to criticize her for this.
Yep.
But she's not doing those things, and it means that your argument is pretty much useless because she's standing up for that, like, right, like she's putting her money where her mouth is.
Mhm.
Effectively, she could win this thing, for goodness sake, like, why
Yep.
not? And she's
Easily.
like, it's not that important. Mm. Like,
Yeah.
and what annoys me is people like Piers and all these stiff upper lip assholes are all like, um, that she's making a mockery of mental health. And he said that it's the same Meghan Markle and Harry nonsense. Like,
Same
he actually
playbook.
said
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
That's like making a mockery of people with actual mental health issues. Like, who who
Who
what
are
I
you
don't
to
understand.
determine that they don't have mental health issues?
Exactly. Like,
What a dickhead.
because someone declares that they have anxiety, like, how do you know that she didn't see a shrink and the shrink didn't say that, yes, you have that? Like, these are things I don't understand. Like, it's just really odd to me that someone can police someone else's, you know, mental health considerations. Like, it's so stupid.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, I'm glad she was strong, but people like Piers are just, I don't know, just scum of the earth, and then he ends up posting a picture saying, "Oh, look, I have a lot of African American um, tennis friends or whatever."
That man's a racist,
This
straight
is
up.
it's bullshit, man. Bullshit.
Uh, and what angers me is, like, the consistent evoking of Harry and Meghan,
Hmm.
and it annoys me. Like, it annoys me on many levels. Like, he's a creep. Like, he's a real creep. And I don't know why he like, again, it's the same idea. He said that she wanted to kill herself, and he's saying she's lying. Like, bro, like, honestly, fuck off with that shit. Like, but
Crazy.
I watched, um so Harry and Oprah have this
Yeah, I didn't
mental
watch that.
health documentary on Apple TV Plus called,
Mhm.
"The Me You Can't See." So Amara and I watched it. Like, she's a very big royal enthusiast, so we watched it. And firstly, I was very impressed because it's like every episode it's just people, and they're telling their stories of one girl with OCD, schizophrenia. This is like, it really ran the gamut. Plus, it was global. They went to
Mhm.
Zimbabwe and talked to people who are doing work there, in Nepal. Like, it was really well done and really global to show that this is actually a global problem and there's a
Mhm.
stigma that needs to be overcome. Um, and I won't lie, like, there was an episode we were talking about PTSD and trauma and losing people, and I actually just bawled out crying
Mhm.
because,
Well.
people know I've lost a brother and all that, and it just hit me because, and this is the thing that I think also, when people start policing mental health,
Mhm.
it annoys me because you don't know what people have gone through.
Mhm.
Like, you don't know what their triggers potentially are, and like, I was watching it and I was like, I had to pause it and just start crying. I was like, it just triggered everything in me,
Yeah.
right, from that situation. And I confessed things to Amara that I had done in that time frame that I really realized were results of that trauma that I just never opened up
Addressed. Yeah.
about and addressed, and things that, like, I might have thought were funny and fun in the time,
Mhm.
but like, I look back on them and I'm like, I only did those things because I felt alone,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to be alone. And those things I probably won't say on this thing yet.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you you
those
never
things
have
are
to.
kind of wild.
The people you share with are people that are your immediate family. So, Amar, is anyone that needs to know, and maybe your parents.
Yeah.
Everybody else does not. They have no right to hear. So don't worry about it at
And
all.
that's part of the problem, right? Because, like, people don't um know those things, so
Hmm.
they think, you have no right to talk about mental health. And I'm not by any means saying that, like, I have mental health issues. I don't know.
Hmm.
All I know is that, like, even people that aren't diagnosed, let me say, with
Hmm.
mental health, can have serious triggers that cause them problems. And if they need to step away from that, people should shut the fuck up and let them do that.
Yep. exactly. I mean, I think that that's the message, and yeah, it's just finding it very annoying when people like peers open up their stupid mouths and say bullshit and try to police people or judge people. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. How do you? Anyways, he's been doing this for years, so he clearly doesn't give a shit about what he's doing. Um, I find it very weird that he would do that. And for my part, I don't. I'll be honest with you. I don't feel like I don't know. I know there's things that weigh heavily on me. I don't know if they cause me any mental health issues, but they definitely cause me pause personally. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful that I don't believe they. I think I've overcome. Mostly the time I'm thinking about is mostly when I was like still in my formative years in the job market in my
Mm-hmm.
career and the things I went through at the hands of bosses, um,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I share them with some people, they may say, "Oh, that's not even that bad." I've had bosses that have treated me worse than that, whatever. But to me, it felt fucked up at that point in time. So,
Okay.
again, I'm not. I would never. What do you call it? I would never. Um, like dismiss anyone's level of issues because you never know how much it affects them, and it's
Mm-hmm.
up to them to know how much it affects them. So, um, but yeah, I'm glad she did that. Glad a lot of other athletes spoke up on her behalf. The LeBrons, the Serenas, the Lewis Hamiltons, the Russell Wilsons.
Did you
You know,
see what Venus said
I didn't
today?
see what she said. No, I didn't. I didn't. What she
Oh,
say?
that was so funny. Like, I think she's still in French Open,
Yeah, she is.
and they kind of asked her about it. Like, I didn't hear the whole question that they
Mm-hmm.
asked her, but it was about how does she cope with everything.
Mm-hmm.
And basically she said, and I'm paraphrasing, is that y'all ask a bunch of stupid questions and y'all try and make us feel like trash, but I get over it knowing that I am better than every single one of you, and none of you are even like a thousandth of my skill level. So you can
Mm-hmm.
talk your shit, but I'm always gonna be better than you, and that makes me feel good. And I was like, you know what, props.
Nice. Very nice. And it was Venus that said that, not Serena, right?
Yeah, it was Venus. It was Venus.
'Cause
Yeah.
I saw some interview. I think somebody asked Serena why she's normally very happy after a game. Is it because she just played her sister? Something stupid like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't remember
Mm.
something that when she was younger she'd probably have like smiled off and like entertained, but she shut it down like with a quickness in the situation. So
Do you remember like when Naomi Osaka won the US Open? I want to say it was against Venus or I don't
Serena,
remember if it was against Venus or Serena, but that first one that she won
Serena,
when when the crowd was effectively booing her.
Bui
Do you
Nomi,
remember?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
the,
Serena
and
brought her in.
yeah, and she actually apologized to the crowd like I know it's not who you wanted. I'm really really sorry. It's
Mhm.
like this I think she was like 19 or she was
She
really
was very
young.
young. Yeah.
And like she just won a tournament, like it's the greatest moment of her life supposed
Hmm.
to be, but she's apologizing to you people because you supported someone else. Like I thought about that and I'm like, how is that not triggering? Like how is that not something that could negatively impact
In
a
fact,
19,
somebody
20 year
exactly,
old for a very long time?
exactly,
Like
exactly. To be honest with you, now that I think about things like this, I think about how especially in solo sports like this, how people like Lewis have coped for years.
mhm,
One being the only black man in Formula One and winning. There's no way he hasn't experienced like outright racist racism as a racer. No
mhm,
way. You know what I mean? From the jump, from the go karting days, I mean, in Drive to Survive or Drive to whatever, the Netflix documentary
mhm,
this last season that coincided with Black Lives Matter or whatever. He did talk about it back then, but like I can only imagine. You deal with those things on your own. Like you know how teams like United and whatever they have general criticism, but then each player has gets their own shit.
Hmm.
It must be crazy. Like I can only imagine, how it feels like to be judged every second of the day.
I mean, I think I don't remember Boyan Kirkic. Like
Yeah,
he actually talked about suffering a nervous breakdown at Barcelona because like all the attention that was on him and all the pressure that was on him, and it's weird that I'm. It's not that I'm not surprised. I'm even like I'm surprised that more people don't.
yeah,
Either they're quiet about it or more people don't because he came in at 17.
yeah,
And if you think about where we were at 17,
yeah,
how the hell like how are you supposed to handle all that pressure as a professional athlete like
yeah.
at 17? I cannot even fathom it. I would have lost my mind.
Yep. Like this whole Greenwood thing and like, you know, what happened with him last year.
Hmm.
I can only imagine how he felt and obviously it showed on the field or whatever. Like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah,
The pressure would be too much.
yeah,
But but yeah, anyways, everyone there keep yourselves in check, take a breather, if you have any mental health issues or whatever. Remember you can always talk to people. You can always just take a chill pill, meditate.
hmm,
I'm no expert, but that's my own advice. And if you really need to speak to somebody, don't be afraid or don't be ashamed. And that's one thing about our generation that is pretty cool is that no one's many people are not of those, oh, I'm too ashamed to talk to a shrink type people.
yeah.
Everyone understands that everyone has issues and sometimes you need to talk about it. And I don't think people in our generation are too shy to do that. So it's encouraging,
That's
to
progress.
for that. So yeah. But anyways, yeah, have a
That's it,
blessed
man.
week, everyone. We hope that helped some people, you know,
Yes, sir.
with anything going on with them. But till next time, have a good week, Bernie. Have a good
All right,
night.
my man. You too, buddy.
Enjoy your week. Say hi to everyone.
All right, give everyone a hug for us.
Yes, we'll do.
All right.
Bye.
Welcome to the talk shop.